It's July 2025, and it's time to plant. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Pittsburgh Home Garden, where the weather has been very weird. We have probably suffered through the wettest June that I have gone through since moving back to Pittsburgh 4 or 5 years ago. Who knew that global warming would turn us into the subtropics? I mean, either it's 3 days of rain or it's 90-degree weather for 5 straight days. There's been so much damage going on with my young seedlings that I actually had to build like a roof, a little awning system over here that has been working out very well. When there's too much rain, I just put up a piece of plastic so the seedlings don't get wet anymore. And when there's too much sun, I have a shade cloth that I can just extend over. If you have been suffering like damage to your seedlings that just isn't normal, think about the conditions that your seedlings are actually in. I love leaving my seedlings outside. One, because it saves me on energy. I'm not using a grow light. And, it's very carefree. And I think they should be outside, especially during the summertime. So just make sure that you are protecting your seedlings so you can continue to have a very fruitful summer, which I hope everybody is having. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into the July planting of 2025. So we are here in the big bed with the tomatoes, who has not been loving the weather that's been going on. Like I said, it's been the wettest June that I have experienced since being in Pittsburgh. And with that comes so much humidity to where my tomatoes are actually suffering from disease that you usually wouldn't see until the very end of the season. So one thing that you can do, of course, is take off the, infected limbs. There's a little bit of what looks to be like a rust type of ordeal. I know it's not full blight, but it can get there. So if you are also suffering from this type of effect with your tomatoes and you're very worried, start taking off your suckers, because as you can see, these little babies are nice and healthy. And though I think the weather is going to get itself together, like this is going to be our first normal week where it's just kind of like 80 degrees and sometimes it rains and maybe it might jump up to 85, but not like crazy death heat. So I believe that all of these cuttings that I took, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, put them directly into some soil. I think they're ready to go into the ground. So even if I start to lose 1 or 2 of these plants, I immediately have these backups. And with my more infected plants, like this is a cherry tomato, I have an entire stem that just has very nasty looking leaves. So I might take this sucker off, see if I can save it in a glass of water or a cup of soil. But if not, I'm not gonna worry about it because I'll still have the rest of the plant to go. We'll be right back after these quick messages.
Keep the sun out your eyes with the last garden hat you'll ever buy. It's Pittsburgh Home Gardening's official hat. Why not give a try? It's the last gardening hat you'll ever buy. Look at that cute ass logo he designed.
So next up, let's put in something I've actually never grown before. All right, so we are over here in the lemongrass bed and the sun is shining. Man, everybody please stay hydrated. If you can, get yourself a gardening hat to shade your face and your head. Gotta stay safe out here. This summer is going to be so very hot, especially for us over here on the East Coast. I feel that this summer is going to go very long and there might be a very warm Christmas for places that usually don't get warm Christmases. But nonetheless, we are here with my hibiscus. This is the first year that I am attempting to grow hibiscus. It is an herb that I have always loved. There are songs about hibiscus. There are many dishes centered around hibiscus because it is just like a very one beautiful plant, and it is very tasteful. A lot of people use hibiscus for their teas. Some people use it within their dishes a bit more than just like a garnish. They actually crush it up, and it's a key ingredient inside some recipes. I love hibiscus for the actual tea, but I'm excited for it to actually grow in my yard so I can play around and start making jams and jellies and things like that with it. The problem is, I don't know if animals like eating hibiscus plants. So I am actually going to put maybe 3 plants over here, and then I'm going to set 3 plants inside the more protected bed. That way I just have a little bit of security, as well as, of course, the greenhouse, you know. So next up, let's go with some vertical growers. So here we are with my squash and my zucchini. I got a few different types of squash in here, including the white scallop squash, which I'm really excited to like cook with this year. My zucchini, which is of course a very, very fruitful grower. I'm only going to put 1 or 2 in here because zucchini plants tend to get really big. In fact, they all tend to get really big. And that is why I'm actually staking all of them up and making them grow vertically. This space is still a little bit too small for as many plants as I'm putting in here, which I've been thinking about a gardening expansion, but that's a different conversation for a different video. But for now, taking up vertical space actually helps out so much in kind of like a tighter area. You can fit so much more food in a smaller area when it doesn't take up that ground space, because in all actuality, that's kind of the only thing that matters, because you can prune your leaves, you know, you can take off side stems and things like that. So as long as you have, let's say, like a foot or so in between some of these heavy eaters, I would say go for it, you know. And if you find any type of discrepancy going on later on in the season, I would say focus on your fertilization. Now for a summer classic, I've never been too good at growing. So here we are in the Mother Bertha bed that has actually been recovering very nicely. A couple weeks ago, I put out that video where my brassicas were just suffering from this infestation. And following the steps in that video with the spray, I got rid of the majority of the infestation. There's still a little bit of damage going on. It's a never-ending fight in the summertime with these insects, of course, but I'm not waking up to, you know, my plants half gone, you know. So definitely, if you are having problems with your brassicas, please check out that video where I tell you how to, you know, set up your recovery system, basically. But we are over here in a patch of calendulas that I did not plant. Earlier in the season, I had so many volunteers that I'm so thankful for. But now those volunteers are starting to get in the way. And because I did so much transplanting early on in the season, I'm certainly going to have a lot of transplants next year in more desirable areas of the yard. But these will not go to waste because I have my little flower collector here, and I'm going to be able to make some wonderful calendula tea. All you do is go ahead through here, and this takes off the tops of the heads directly for you, so you're not hand picking, you know, thousands of calendulas. But then you go ahead and dry these out, and you can use them for garnishes. I like to use them for different teas, like during the winter time. But you know, nothing has to go to waste in your garden if you don't want it to. So I'm going to collect these, and then we can get to planting. So now that the calendulas are all cleared out, you can actually see how much space I have over here behind my pole beans, and I'm going to put my sweet potatoes in. I have yet to have a successful harvest of sweet potatoes, and it has been consistently because the damn animals, specifically the groundhog, eating all the leaves, so there's no like photosynthesis that can even happen. So I figure within this protected bed that has been doing very well. I don't know why I didn't do this years ago. Because this bed is protected, I feel like this full corner can be filled up with as many sweet potato vines as it actually needs to. And if it starts to creep along the bed, because my pole beans will be up in the air and everything else are my leafy greens, I actually don't mind. If anything, it might shade the ground out for me, you know, during the very harshest part of the summer. So I'm very excited to see what my sweet potato harvest actually looks like this year. Now to put some very thirsty babies in the ground. So back in the Mother Bertha bed, we are going to be planting my okra. Longtime viewers of the channel know that last year was a very big surprise year as far as okra, because I had never grown it before. I didn't even know okra could do well up here in old Appalachia. But okra loves this climate. It's a very fast grower, very fruitful. Last year I had a problem keeping up on the actual harvest because I had no idea that you needed to stay up on the harvest so much. So this year, I'm fully prepared to be out here every morning picking fresh okra. I'm gonna try drinking a ton of like okra water this year to help out some gut health I've had some issues with. Yeah, okra is an amazing crop. Check out a video I did where I cooked this like bouillabaisse looking dish. It was so sexy. See, okra is one of those plants where like if you have the space to do so, and again, very fast grower, very tall grower, so it gives you that nice vertical element, please go ahead and put in some okra. Now let's go check up on the corn patch. The corn patch has actually been doing very well this year. I haven't had any issues yet. Of course, there's no corn coming, so no animals really want to mess with it. But as far as right now, these babies are growing nice and tall because June was one of the hottest months on record and the wettest months on record. I've actually been getting a lot of stunting growth. I don't know if you could tell, but around the yard, like my tomatoes, my kale, my corn would usually be a lot bigger now, and I attribute that to this very weird June season that we kind of had. Now I'm going to set in some more corn, and I actually have one more tray of corn. I'm doing some of the latest corn planting that you will see on YouTube, but for now I'm putting in some more corn. Of course, when you are planting your corn, you want to set it out in these more block type of styles. Please refer to my last video if you want to see how I actually did that. And I'm actually going to put my mammoth basil over here. Now these basil leaves are supposed to be like very big, very broad, a lot bigger than your normal basil. And I'm kind of in the thought of shading out the ground for later on this summer. Now I do have a water collection type of system, but if I don't have to use it, why do so? So I'm going to put all of this mammoth basil at the bottom of the corn, so that way it starts to crowd out the actual ground, which leaves it more moist. It's nice and shaded, which means that my corn won't need as much watering from me. And last but not least, I am going to sow some brassicas and some onions. I don't think it is ever a bad time to be sowing brassicas, because now during the harsh summertime, a lot of your brassicas might bolt or go to seed and get real bitter. So what a perfect time than to put in some right now that you'll actually be receiving the rewards of in September when things start to like calm down a bit weather-wise. But that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you would like to buy a nice, beautiful gardening hat, please check out the link below. If you would like a coloring book, that link will be right alongside that one below. Of course, I want to wish everybody a happy planting week. I will see you very soon. And until next time, I'll be here gardening.